Are you ready for salad season, but you're tired of your lettuce going bad in just a couple days in the refrigerator? Let me teach you my secrets to how to keep lettuce fresh for weeks. This is actually over 2 weeks old right now at this point, and we are going to go through the whole washing instructions for this. If you're just meeting me, my name is Amy Cross, and this is the Cross Legacy. And I actually had a TED Talk on teaching how to keep produce fresh longer, and on stage when I had my TED Talk, I had month-old lettuce, and you can hear how crispy it sounds. I'm also a best-selling author, and our newest book is the Zero Waste Produce Guide, which goes A through Z through 75 produce items and how to keep them fresh for weeks. Not only am I teaching you how to wash your produce safely so it kills off any mold spores, 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐿, listeria, and any other harmful pathogens, but I'm actually somebody that is willing to show you what produce looks like weeks after I bought it. Now, romaine is the lettuce that I buy most of the time, but you can use these tips with any kind of lettuce or spinach. So they're all the same. If you don't know, lettuce is the most recalled produce item any kind of greens are, and it's normally for listeria. So washing them with the vinegar wash that I'm going to be teaching will keep them safe for your family to eat. Now, this lettuce is massive today, and I love getting the big green leafy romaine lettuce and not the core lettuce that you get like when you buy it in like Costco bags of it where there's 4 or so in a big bag. I love being able to get a single head of it because I love the big outer green leaves and not the yellow leaves that are inside the core. So I normally will skip this produce item at Costco, even though I buy most of my produce at Costco, and get this one at the grocery store or the farmer's market. But I love in the spring just how big they get. And as I get into this a little bit later to fit it into the container, I'm going to cut a little bit this way on the leaves so it keeps the big green leafy leaves whole, because we use them a lot of times for wraps, not only just for salad. So I like to be able to keep the leaves as whole as possible, as long as possible, which is up to a month. So I cut the crown off of the lettuce. I always love to look at it to see how beautiful it is. They're all unique and different in each way, and I just think it's kind of an amazing thing. But if you didn't know and you had littles in your house, you can actually put this in a bowl of water with just a little bit of water, and it will regrow its own little lettuce here. So I've never had a full one regrow, but it is kind of fun to see it sprouting up, and it's kind of a fun project to do with littles. Now for lettuce, I'm going to be using my vinegar wash, which is a 1/4 cup of distilled white vinegar to 10 cups of water. If you were doing this in a bigger pot, then you would just use more vinegar and more water, but normally I'll just move it around in the bowl. And you only want to soak it for 2 minutes. Longer than that can start destroying some of the properties in your produce items, so make sure you set a timer for 2 minutes. And since this head of lettuce is about double the size of what we would normally get any other time but the spring, I'm probably going to wash this in 2 cycles just to make sure that every little itty bitty crevice gets cleaned out and there's no hidden surprises in it. Now, you don't have to rinse the vinegar wash off of most items when you're washing your produce. So things like peppers and cucumbers, lemons, if they're kind of a smooth skin, then I will just use the same water or not rinse them and just set them directly on the towel. Once you wash greens or any kind of berries, you will see why I change the water out, because you will be surprised all the little floaties and other surprises that come out in the water. So those I do rinse off to make sure any of the debris comes off, but it's not to try to remove the vinegar. Now, I am kind of particular about washing off each leaf because we live in the Seattle area and we get little tiny slugs on lettuce, especially when you're buying organic ones. I don't want to find that in a salad. So I do take a little bit extra care for that. But as I rinse them, I set them in the colander sitting up for just a second before I start using the salad spinner. If you don't have a large bowl and a salad spinner, I would suggest buying a salad spinner, and then you can use the bowl. You could use it as a colander and as a salad spinner. And I love this one that I have because this is stainless, but the top of it closes down, locks down, so it fits into a smaller cabinet. And I am going to spin this in like 2 or 3 different batches so it all gets dry as much as possible, and then I'll lay it out on the towel. I use a large Turkish beach towel for my countertop. This is actually organic, which I like, but especially when I'm putting organic produce on top of it. But this way I can spread everything out. But we haven't always had a large counter like this. Our kitchen used to be much smaller. And before I had room to do this, I used to just set the lettuce leaves upright in the colander on a plate. And that way they would drip dry a lot quicker than just laying them out when we didn't have enough space. So if you're limited on space, that's another good option. And I just want to remind you, when you're laying these out the first time, if you lay them out where the spine is up towards the top, some of that extra moisture is going to drip off of it. And then an hour or so as you're relaxing during the day and you walk by with clean hands and you flip it over, then do it the other way. But the moisture is going to try to collect in the stem. This is the same thing when you're putting it into the glass container on the paper towel, that you want the stem side up, especially right at the beginning, first couple days that it's being stored. That way that any moisture is rolling right off of it. I normally say that it rolls off like an umbrella, so you can remember, and you don't want it to be sitting there like a boat, because the moisture gets in that stem and it will turn it brown or kind of red on the end sometimes. So since I only go grocery shopping every 3 to 4 weeks, I buy a lot of produce at one time, and it normally takes me about a half an hour to wash all of my produce on that same day, and then I lay it all out to dry and I can relax, do whatever I need to get done. And then after everything is dry, it only takes about 15 minutes to get everything put away and put into the refrigerator. So total working time is about 45 minutes once a month to make sure that we have 0 food waste, which I think is really important. We just didn't understand like a decade ago how much our food costs were costing our family overall. And so when we started reducing how much food waste we had and reducing our grocery shopping trips, all of a sudden we were able to stop some of those extra side hustle jobs that we had. And that was way back before, when grocery shopping was a little bit cheaper than it is now. So the average family is throwing away over 40 to 60% of the food that they're buying. And my whole channel is to try to help teach you how to reduce some of that food waste. If I'm in a really big hurry the night that I go grocery shopping, or I'm super tired, because I can be, then I always make sure that I wash my greens and my berries that very first night, and I can save some of the other produce items until the next day. But those are the 2 that spoil the quickest, and if you can get them washed and put away properly, then you can drastically extend their life, because you're killing off the mold spores, E. coli and listeria, off of the items, and they're not wilting away in the refrigerator. So make sure, if you are just finding me and this is your first video, that you go and watch Strawberries in a Jar next. That is how I started all of this with the blog and Instagram, and being in the media all around the world was for my berry tips. And make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and the notification button, because we got all of this lettuce so I could teach you how to make some of my favorite homemade salad dressing recipes. So more of those salad dressing recipes are going to be coming out later this spring. So if you're tired of wasting your money on produce that is going bad, make sure that you check out the Zero Waste Produce Guide. It is available in the link in the description, and there is a coupon code, or you can also get it on Amazon, and on Amazon it has free shipping. So between the 2 places, they work out about the same cost, and this is 75 items A to Z, plus over 40 other recipes and meal ideas in it.